OSI layer that we have already been doing. So there is some functionality in data link layer that is called as physical addressing. Okay, so I'll tell you there are two type of addressing that is possible there. First one is a logical address and a physical address. Okay, so it's the same thing in OS as well. If you are studying paging, there will be something called logical address and there will be something called a physical address. Okay, so in this particular case, in the case of networking, the logical address here will be referred to as your IP address. Okay, so just let me your logical address, there are two different addresses. Okay, so there is physical address and then there is a logical address. Okay, so the logical address is it's your IP address. Okay, so the uniqueness of this one is any number that is unique in the entire world. Okay, so any number, the address is a number in the form of, you know that this is example of IP address, something like this one. Okay, so any number that is unique in the entire world is called your logical address or the IP address. Okay, so the physical address is the definition is given in such a way that any number which is unique in a present network, unique in a present network. Okay, so the definition is given in such a way that your physical address has to be unique in a present network, and your definition of logical address is given in such a way that it should be unique in the entire world. Okay, so if I take a bit of an example, it would go something like this. This logical address is a 32-bit address, and it is a software number. Keep that in mind, it is a software number, not a hardware one. So this particular thing is a 48-bit address, and it is a hardware number. Okay, so hardware number means that uh, there is something called network interface card that is inbuilt in your PC, in your laptop, on the basis of which we are able to communicate with devices. Okay, so this particular NIC, inside this NIC there is a ROM, and in that ROM there is a 40-bit address, that 40-bit long number that is assigned to that is stored inside this NIC. Okay, so you cannot change this particular address because it is already devoted to the hardware. Okay, so what exactly this 48-bit contains? So this 48-bit contains, first, it is divided into three parts. Okay, so the first part is your vendor ID. Vendor ID means that who is a particular vendor that is making this network interface card. Second one is your date, and third one is your serial number. Okay, so actually the definition of a physical address is given in such a way that it should be unique in a present network, but in practicality it is exactly unique in the, it is also unique in the whole world. Okay, so your physical address is practically unique in the whole world, but the definition that is given in the books is that there is no compulsion, that there is a compulsion only that it has to be unique in the present network. Okay, so but actually it is again it is very similar to the IP in terms of property. This particular 48-bit address is unique, again unique, practically it's unique in the whole world, but still the definition that is given in theory that it should have to be unique in a present network. Keep in mind that there is a difference between a physical and a logical. The definition of physical and a logical address is given like this. Okay, so the logical one is your IP address. So it is divided into many classes. So the detail of this I will be discussing in subnet. So don't worry about it. Just keep in mind that there is something called a physical addressing. Okay, so conceptually, you can also use this physical address as a IP address. You will be thinking that if in practicality that physical address is again unique, because actually it is unique in the whole world. So why don't we use this physical address as a IP address? So for that, there is something called IP addressing. Okay, so the concept or a whole classes and whole concept is is given in this particular thing. Okay, so I'll when I talk about IP addressing, you came to know that there is a structure. Okay, so suppose whenever you are designing something in computer networks for internet communication, there is a base for that already exists there. Suppose that you will be seeing in regular days that coronavirus is there, and they are distributing the vaccines uh, in India all over the states uh, by using a supply chain. Okay, so what happens is that because there in the previous one in the India is one of the biggest network for vaccine distribution. What happens is that in the previous one a supply chain is maintained for polio vaccine distribution. So the government is using that same supply chain to distribute the vaccine across the states, and it is very smooth. It's a well-oiled machine. Everybody knows how to distribute the vaccine on a state level, on a district level, as well as on a village level also. Everything is properly defined. So that supply chain is already there because they have put in effort, because they have already put in effort to eradicate the polio that exists in our in India. In the same way, that IP addressing now, whenever you are designing something that is related to the internet, already there is something that is already designed with so much effort, that is your telephone network. Okay, so you will be seeing that the IP addressing part is already based on the telephone networking that is already being done. Okay, so you will be thinking that every area has something called a STD code. Every country has an ISD code. So the same concept is used in this IP addressing. Okay, so that is why this physical address is not used as a IP address, because it is just not relevant there, because vendor ID date I cannot get out much information there. But the IP addressing is a much more structured way, and we again this IP addressing is based on the telephone network. So that is again a well-oiled machine. So you have to look at the previous thing to build a new thing. So that is why the IP addressing, the logical address, is completely different one. Okay, so that is why in theoretical the definition for physical address is given like this, and for logical address is given like this. Okay. Okay, again there is one more disadvantage, that physical address is actually a very what do you say, is a static address. It cannot be changed after that. But a logical address, it's a software number, so I can assign a IP address based on what exactly is happening in the network. So that is also very good advantage of using IP addressing. Okay, so I have explained you about what exactly is a physical addressing. So keep in mind, physical addressing is divided into three parts. First is vendor ID, date and serial number, and the difference between physical and logical is that physical address is of 48 bits, and logical address, that is your IP address, is of 32 bits. Okay, so I'm only talking about IPv4. I'm not talking about IPv6. Okay, so the data link layer that why here the physical addressing is there, not logical address is there, because the data link layer is in the LAN. Okay, so inside the LAN the communication between the devices takes place based on the physical addresses. Okay, so keep that in mind. That is why I have said that the communication that is taking place at data link layer is in a LAN, and the communication between the devices is only taking place based on the physical address. That is why if you have seen that if the internet is still not working, you will still be able to interact with the devices with no internet connection in a LAN. But if you want to interact with the IP addressing, that will be a problem. If the internet is not working, you will not be able to communicate with other device that has a IP address. But if you are in a LAN, there is no need for an internet. You can directly communicate between devices by using a physical address. Okay, so That is why there is physical addressing, not logical addressing. Okay, so again, this particular data link layer is divided into two parts. The first part is called LLC, and the second part is called MAC. Okay, so I'll tell you about this one also. It is logical link control. Okay, so there is nothing new between them. It's just a division of the task. Okay, so it is subdivided into these tasks. The second one is medium access control. Okay, so now this LLC, what is the task of this LLC is flow control. Actually, it is given as a whole, that data link, the functionality of the data link layer, but it is particularly divided into this. The task of this is flow and error control. And the task of this is the task of MAC is framing, access control, error control. It's also do error control. Both of them do error control. And there is something called physical addressing. Okay, so physical addressing is also the task of this MAC. Okay, so actually, if you find it, most of the books, they will they will list the function like this, but actually the data link layer is divided into two parts, and the function is also divided in such a way. Okay, so the logical link layer contains flow and error control, and medium access control contains framing, that is already there, physical addressing, access control, as well as error control. So keep in mind, error control occurs in both of the layers. Okay, so both of the divided part. Okay, so with this, your data link layer got complete. So I discussed this in detail because again, the remaining part like flow control, error control, and access control is a part of your second module. So I will discuss this in a quite a bit of the detail. So don't worry about that part. So because it is related to the software part, I will discuss the software part of the computer network in a great detail. So don't worry about the software part of computer networking. Okay, so the next one is your network layer. So actually the network, if you see, the network layer is responsible for the delivery of the packets from original source to the final destination. Okay, so keep in mind this particular network layer works on IP addressing. Okay, so that is why here it is written as something as a logical addressing. Okay, so there is a difference between the data link layer and the network layer, is that this is particularly host to host connectivity. It will talk with one host to another host. If you remember in the first lecture, what is a host? So this is a network. In this network, there is some host, some computer that is there. There is another network, and in this network, there is another host that is there. Okay, so when you want to establish a connection between one host, this is one host, to another host, this particular thing will be done in your network layer. Okay, so that is why there is a, because we are going from one network to another network, we have to use something called a IP address. Okay, so because in IP address, what is there? There is something, this is a combination of a network ID and a host ID. Okay, so that is why in a network, when you are talking about a data link layer, so what exactly data link layer is? So data link layer is your hop to hop. Okay, hop to hop means that this particular device is connected towards this router. So this particular thing is denoting a LAN here. Okay, it is denoting a LAN here. So this particular thing is a work of the data link layer. This particular thing is also referred to as hop to hop. Okay, so again, if this particular router is connected to this router, this particular thing is referred to as hop to hop. Okay, so just wait a second. Okay, so the data link layer is host to host. The data link layer is hop to hop. It means that it communicates communicates with something that is in the LAN. This particular network layer communication occurs between one host to another host. That is why logical addressing is required. Okay, so another thing is routing. So that is one of the major tasks here, because if you see that if you want to communicate from one network to another network. So suppose this is your host and this is another host. There are many hosts that will be in between. So I only want to talk to towards this particular host. Okay, suppose this is a network 1 and this is network 14. Okay, so I just want to communicate with this particular host. So in between when you are talking with other devices, that there, because in the path there will be many network devices there will be many network devices that are connected to each other. Okay, so this is particularly hop to hop. So when we are doing hop to hop, there will be a data link layer involved. And when we are talking, now I want to communicate from one host of network 1 with another host of network 14. Okay, so if I want to send this packet from network 1 to network 14, there in between there will be many paths that are available to reach to network 14. Okay, so this is the task of the network layer to decide which is the best path to follow to reach to network 14. Okay, so all of these things comes under routing. Okay, so routing is nothing. Routing is building a routing table. Okay, so actually the definition is a bit different, but I consider that what exactly is routing, it's building a routing table. Okay, so I'll tell you when I explain this routing, and there are many techniques of routing, but I'll discuss it when it come to network layer. Okay, so actually the definition of routing is like that: building a routing table and using that routing table uh, is switching. Okay, so the definition of routing and switching something is like that if you build a routing table, that is routing table is nothing, it just information that a particular on the way which particular this router 1 is connected to which many routers there. So this is connected to router 1 and router 3, this router 3 is connected to router 4, and this router 2 is connected to router 5, something like this. Okay, so first of all, to do a routing I have to have the information of the path. The path information is designed in a very elegant way in a table. So that particular thing is called a routing table, and using that routing table I decide which is the easiest path and which is the shortest path that I can follow. Okay, so there is also other information that if particular path is not working, I have to reroute the packet. So that information I can also get it from routing table. Okay, so this is just the functionality of the network layer. These are the two main functionality. First is logical addressing. Why it is logical addressing? Because it is communicating from one host to another host. So for host to host communication, I need a IP address. Okay, so routing, that is why it's logical addressing. So routing is nothing, it's just to find the best path to follow to reach to a particular host. Okay, so that is the main task of network layer. Again, the details of routing I will discuss in when we come in the network layer. There is another function that is also very popular there. It is called congestion control. Okay, so congestion control is when there is a traffic on the way. Okay, so because there are many paths in the network, so it can happen that if you are following a particular path, every particular router is for every particular other communication is also following that particular path. So the congestion control means that you have to control the traffic. Okay, so congestion control means if every communication network is following the similar path, then it means that there is a traffic. Okay, so I have to control that traffic and reroute the packet. So that particular task is also done by your networking layer. Okay, so it is particularly done by something called fragmentation. Okay, so it's also the task of network layer. So what exactly is a fragmentation? It particularly divide the packet into smaller packets. Okay, so it will send the packets in different path. So it sends the packet in different paths that are available to it. So that is how it do something called a congestion control. Keep in mind, the task of network layer is first is logical addressing, second is routing, third is congestion control, and fourth is fragmentation. Okay, with the help of fragmentation, it controls the traffic on the way. Okay, so now there is something called a transport layer. Okay, so transport layer is now coming very close to the port number. If you remember what I told you in the first lecture, that what exactly is a port. Okay, so now when you want to reach from one process to another process, this is the task of your transport layer. Okay, so keep in mind, the network layer, there is a difference between a network layer and a transport layer. In the network layer, you just have to do a communication between other host in different network. In transport layer, you have to go to the process also. Okay, so if from one host process you are able to communicate with the other host process. Okay, so this, on this computer, a browser is running, and it is requesting a service of HTTP. Okay, so this particular HTTP is running on this host at a port number that is a 80 port number. Okay, so when you are able to communicate, and you are able to communicate from one process to another process. Okay, so this process is running on a particular port number. Okay, so when you are able to there is a port to port, or something it's most preferably called as end to end. Okay, so end to end delivery occurs in transport layer. Host to host delivery occurs in network layer. Okay, so there is a difference between the two. Okay, so now another task is also there. This is flow control. So this flow control is now the techniques that are used is similar that are used in this data link layer, because this is particularly communication inside a LAN, and this communication is not inside a LAN, it is actually inside a WAN, that is your wide area network. Now we 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 are into the internet. Okay, so when I'm talking about transport layer, when I'm talking about a network layer, we no longer remain in the LAN there. So in network layer and in transport layer, we came to the internet. Okay, so for internet, you have to communicate to other devices that are connected in other networks. Keep in mind, for internet, you have to communicate to other devices that are connected to a different network than our network. Okay, so for this purpose, I again have to do a flow control, and I again have to do a error control. Okay, so the techniques are same. There is no doubt about it. The techniques are same, but actually this is used differently. Okay, so I'll explain about what exactly is the difference of the usage. Okay, so the techniques will be same. Okay, so if there is a SR protocol that is used in the data link layer, similarly flow control SR protocol will be used here. It is just the matter of usage. I'll tell you about it. Okay, there is something called connection control. So there is the transport layer provide two functionalities, that is your connection less and connection oriented. Okay, I'll talk about these two things also. And there is something called segmentation and reassembly. Okay, so what exactly is a segmentation? If you remember, there is something called a fragmentation. Okay, so when a message, suppose the message is at the top layer, suppose the message is hello, and this particular message when comes to a transport layer. Okay, so when it comes to a transport layer, this is again divided into something called fragments. Okay, so keep, now the whole picture comes here. Now this is your seventh, then there is a sixth, fifth. Now I'm talking about the fourth layer. Now see, when from the application layer the message comes, it goes into the transport layer. Okay, so when it reaches to a transport layer, the transport layer divides this message into something called fragments. Okay, so this is fragment 1 and this is fragment 2. Suppose the message is divided in such a way, and when it reaches towards the network layer. Okay, so when it reaches towards the network, sorry, it's called segments, not fragments, it's called segments. Okay, in transport layer the division is called segments, Now in the network layer, when this fragments reach, so this is fragment 1, so I'm talking about is F1, and this is fragment 2. When it reaches to the network layer, it divides this into further something called sorry, this is segment. Sorry, I am getting confused there. Okay, so at the transport layer, the message is divided into two segments, and these two segments, when reaches into the network layer, it is again further divided into something called a fragment. Okay, so this is fragment 1, this is fragment 2, this is again fragment 1, this is fragment 2. Okay, so again when it reaches to the data link layer, so suppose I call it F3 and F4. When it reaches to the data link layer, so these four fragments, this F1, F2, F3 and F4. Okay, so F4 is again divided into something called frames. Okay, so this is your frame 1 and frame 2. This is again frame 3, frame 4. Okay, so you get the point. So that is why I've said when you're coming from the application layer, the division, there is always a division. The division will start from the division of the packet that you get from this particular application will start from transport layer. At transport layer, this division will called segments. At network layer, it is further subdivided into something called fragments, and at data link layer, it is again further subdivided into something called frames. Okay, so it is just nothing, it is just the piece of communication that is divided on every particular layer. Okay, so how it is divided, how the particular, if you're seeing here, it's there are many complex things that are coming into play here. If you are seeing here, you will be thinking that how do I get the message if it is divided and subdivided and again subdivided into so many parts, that how do I get the message that is actually in the right order, because if you're thinking, the main problem will be, suppose that the order is one of the most important thing that you want. Okay, suppose that you want to send a message to anybody. Okay, so the if you want to send the message to anybody, the message goes like this, that you want to, okay, I'll take example. You want to send a message, uh, I hate you, something like this. Okay, so this particular message that you want to send to a person. Okay, so what you do, that you write this, and I'll take the example of a post office. Okay, so you write, because the post is very expensive. This is the scenario, that if you want to send a message, it's very expensive, you cannot send your message in one go. Okay, so you have to send your message in three different parts. Okay, this is the first part, this is the second part, this is the third part. Okay, so what you do, you deliver, you divide the message into three parts. This is the three parts, and you go to the post office and you deliver these three messages. Okay, 1 2 3. Okay, so now whatever is the receiver here, so you are the sender and there will be some receiver there. Okay, so what you do, uh, what happens is that on the way, suppose there is a postman there on the way, it will look at the envelope and see there is only I there. So it sees that there is no point in what is this particular thing means. So it just discard this message, that it is accidentally sent by the sender, and you only receive something called you. And on the way, first you receive you, and second you receive hate. Okay, so actually if you are seeing here, there is a uh, the the service that you received here. So I'll take another example, I think you will not be able to get it. Okay, so I'll take another example. Okay, so suppose, okay, uh, so this is your home, suppose this is you, and this is your girlfriend. Okay, so this is your girlfriend. Okay, so there is a Valentine coming, and you want to send some message to your girlfriend. So what you do, you you send a chocolate and then a flower Okay, suppose there is a flower and a letter. Okay, so there are three things. One is a chocolate, second is a flower, and third is a letter. Okay, so the requirement is that first your girlfriend got this particular letter. This was the first possibility, that this is the first that your girlfriend received. After that, your girlfriend received the flower, and the third thing is the chocolate. Okay, so you want that particular things, that this will go in this particular order to your girlfriend home. So that is the order that is really specified by you. Now what happens is that, now what happens if you are talking about a worst case scenario, what can happen is that when there is a postman that is looking at these things. Okay, so what happens is that the postman looks at the letter and sees the flower at the end, because in the transport mode, the flower reaches to your girlfriend like only with one petal, and the postman sees the chocolate and he just eats it on the way and sees that that the chocolate is very tasty, so he just eats it, and it sends the message towards your girlfriend, that is at the end. So the first order that is received is your flower, and the third order is a girlfriend. Okay, so again, the worst case scenario that can happen is that your girlfriend is not home, and her dad is at home. Okay, so what happens is that if the dad receives the message in this particular order, he sees the letter, and he sees the rose, and he sees the chocolate, and he discards all the message. Okay, so this is what your network layer does. Okay, so the network layer task is to deliver the message towards a particular receiver. It does not care about the order. It does not care about on the way it get discarded. There are many complications on the way. It does not care about that. But what this transport layer does is, the functionality of the transport layer is on the top of the network layer. So the transport layer do everything right. Suppose now, if you want to send a message to your girlfriend, first thing is, don't surprise her. Okay, you call her and say that I'm sending you particular messages, I'm sending a particular gift to you on the occasion of something, and uh, just don't surprise her. And in that way, when the messages when these particular gifts receives to your girlfriend, you just take a acknowledgement from her by calling it that is the message received to you. Okay, so that is the task of the transport layer. Okay, so transport layer is very similar to your telephone service. Okay, so that is why it is it's very similar to your telephone service. That is why I've given you example this one. Okay, so it is in the most sense it is reliable. Okay, but your network layer, it is very similar to postal service. Postal service means that your post office network. Okay, so this is I don't want to say it is quite unreliable, that you sometimes you do not got the message if you haven't speed posted or anything. If you should just do a registry of the post, it's possible that your message will not receive the server. Okay, so transport layer adds a different functionality to the already existing network. Okay, so all the fragments, the arrangement of a particular thing, what is the sequence that is sent by the sender, it's all the task of the transport layer to get this particular thing is in order at the receiver side. Okay, so keep that thing in mind. I will explain you everything, that how is this particular transport layer is arranging all the things in order, arranging all the broken messages into in order by the help of something called a sequence number. Okay, so that is why if you see here, there is a task here, that is segmentation and reassembly. Okay, so at the receiver side, there is something called reassembly. Okay, so it reassembles the message that it receives from the network layer with the help of sequence number. Okay, so I'll tell you about what is the sequence number when I come to it. Okay, so keep this thing in mind that transport layer, there are transport layer there are two popular protocols of transport layer. First is something called a TCP and another one is your UDP. Okay, so TCP is one of the most reliable protocol, reliable. Okay, so TCP, I'll tell you about it when I come to it. TCP is the most reliable and UDP is not the most reliable one. Okay, so this particular protocol is used in your video calling. Okay, so if you do a video calling, you will see that there is something frame drops in between. So if you want something functionality that does not require the reliability, you can go towards the TCP. So in UDP, because we do not, if a frame drops in the communication, I do not care much. But TCP is like the email service. Okay, so email service is very much reliable. If you have sent a mail, it will definitely will be received to you. Okay, so that is a very good, very defining feature of the transport layer, that it maintains the reliability of the message, that if you have sent the message to a particular receiver, it makes sure that the receiver receives a particular message. Okay, so that is the functionality of transport layer. Okay, so the remaining layers are just added functionality layers, that is your session layer. So session layer is nothing, it just is a dialog controller. Okay, so what exactly is a dialog control? Okay, so I'll tell you. Okay, so dialog control happens mostly in cases of web conferences, and suppose like we are also, the session layer provides you a dialog controller. So we are also in session layer, that we are, because it is also kind of a conference. Okay, so how it is a conference, that I am presenting and you are looking at the presentation, and this particular thing that the session is holding till I'm permitting the session to be there. Okay, so if I press the leave button, this particular session got finished. Okay, so what exactly is a dialog control, that in between I that because I'm the principal presenter here, I can pass the dialog to any other student in my network to keep, or if he has or she has any kind of issue. So you can unmute your mic. You can this is the functionality that is provided by the dialog controller. Now in this scenario, you can unmute your mic and you can question me. So this is again a dialog control. Okay, so that is provided by session layer. Okay, so there is something called a synchronization. So synchronization is audio and video signal. Okay, so my audio is working fine and my video is working fine, or video sync, this particular things happen in this particular uh, uh, in this synchronization part. Okay, so authentication and authorization is also a part of it, so it is not written there, but still if you read in books, it you will find it, something called authentication. Authentication is when you log in into your network, and authorization is one of the same thing. Okay, so authentication and authorization is also a part of this session layer. Okay, so now there is another layer, that these three layers are user centric layers. Okay, so this is a presentation layer. The task of it is a translation, encryption, and compression. Okay, so compression is this thing is just to decrease the size of the communication. Okay, so if you are communicating and it is consuming less data because of the compression. The compression tree techniques that you have already studied, I think in data structure in the previous data, if you have studied data structure, or if you have studied algorithm, then there will be compression tree techniques that you will study about Huffman coding and something like this. Okay, so all the compression techniques that you will study in your algorithms is a part of this compression layer. And encryption is network security part. I will tell you about it. Encryption is nothing. So what exactly is encryption? Because I think you have studied something about end-to-end encryption. So what is the meaning of this particular thing? What is a end-to-end encryption? Is that suppose that you are sending a message that is hello. So something like this. Okay, so what this encryption do? There are many encryption technique exists there. So what this encryption do is it just changes the message in such a way. So suppose OLL E something like this. It rearranges the message in such a way and it is received to you. So it's so that if anybody tries to intercept the message in between, this message will make no sense to the person that is changing this message. Okay. So when it reaches to the receiver has something called a private key or a public key. So you, by using that key, it just inputs the message and reverses all this. Okay. So from the receiver side, it will be again, it will got to hello by using the key that is already exchanged between the sender and the receiver. Okay. So the encryption is something that is in between the sender and the receiver, such that if anybody tries to intercept the message, this particular message will make no sense to a particular person. Okay. So if you are just seeing the latest trend there, that you will be thinking that there is something, the privacy policy of WhatsApp got updated. Okay. So they are saying, many people are saying that WhatsApp will be able to see your messages, but this is not the case, because they are already said that WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted. Okay. So end-to-end encrypted means that from the sender, only the sender and the receiver, these two parties can see the messages, not any company in between. Okay. So what actually they are doing is they are disabling this end-to-end encryption between the sender and the business accounts. Okay. So this is the actual privacy policy. In business accounts, they are disabling this end-to-end encryption, so they can see that what a particular sender demands from your business account, and they can send this ad analytics to particular companies so that they can take advantage of it. So actually, but if you are sending it to any other account, that particular thing is encrypted. Nobody can intercept in between. So that is why there's whole uh, thing going on. Okay. So translation is something called that this is also the function of the presentation layer. So actually there are many codes that are in between. So if you have heard about a Sky code, so actually if any other machines that support any other different codes, that if you have heard about EDBIC, so this is extended data binary code interface. So if particular machine supports this code, and if a particular machine supports this code only, so to translate from ASCII to EDBC is also a task or a function of your presentation layer. Okay. So these three functionalities. So don't worry about these functionality as much, because this is the just a user functionality. Okay. So again, the last one is your application layer. So in this application layers, there are many protocols. Okay. So many protocols, like 10 or 15 protocols are there that I will discuss. So file transfer, access management, mail services, directory services like telnet, many protocols are there. So these particularly protocol that I will discuss in detail at the end when I come to application layer. So application layer is important. So that this particular presentation layer, it just added functionality, and a session layer is also added functionality. Okay. So with this, that is your starting OSI reference model. Keep in mind, it's a OSI reference model. This is a reference model, meaning that I want my communication to happen like this. This is, I must call it, this is a ideal model. So actually we use something called TCP IP. Okay. So this is also in your syllabus. I'll show you what exactly is a TCP IP model. So actually the TCP IP model is also based on what do I call it, this particular, if I have it, yeah, I have it. Okay. So the TCP IP model is very much similar to OSI model. So the OSI model we just looked is just a reference or logical model. Okay. So I'll call it reference or logical or an ideal model. Okay. So it was designed to describe the function of the communication system by dividing the tasks. Okay. But when we talk about the TCP IP model that is already implemented or used in our network, and it is already developed by Department of Defense in the starting in the early days in 1960s. and it is based on only standard protocols. Okay, so TCP/IP is a transmission control protocol, internet protocol. Okay, so it only contains 4 layers. Okay, so these 4 layers are process layer, that is most in most definite way it is referred to as an application layer. Another one is transport layer. This is host to host, internet layer, and a network access layer. Okay, so the functionality of the layers that we have already studied in OSI layer are combined in this. Okay, so if you're seeing here, this is TCP/IP model, and this is your OSI reference model. Okay, so application layer is similar. There is no problem in that. Transport layer is also similar. There is no problem in that one. But if you're seeing internet layer here, that where is internet layer, there is no internet layer, and what is network access layer. Okay, so actually in this TCP/IP model, the functionality of one or more layers are combined. Okay, so what is the combination here? So network access layer, this layer correspond to the combination of data link layer and a physical layer. Okay, so this is the first layer. This is used this is done by combining the physical layer as well as data link layer. Okay, so whatever the functionality that we have already studied is just defined. This is containing both of the functionality of this layer, because this is the practical implementation, keep in mind. Okay, another one, the internet layer, this layer parallels to the OSI network layer. So this particular internet layer is again the network layer. So what exactly is defined in this OSI reference model network layer are the function of this particular. So transport layer is similar to transport layer. I'll share it since okay, so there is no transport layer. So transport layer is similar to transport layer, and application layer combines three different layers, that is application, presentation, and session layer. Okay, so the protocols that are there, I will discuss these protocols in detail, don't worry about that. Okay, so now the application layer contain 3 layers there, that is your application layer, presentation layer, and session layer from the OSI model. Okay, so keep in mind that TCP/IP model is a more practical model that we used to implement, and OSI model is also a network model, but it's a reference model. Okay, so actually it was defined as a reference that what exactly each layer should contain, but actually the implementation is in this way. Okay, so there are no different 7 layers, but actually there are 4 different layers. Okay, so the 4 different layers are combining the combination of a different layers. Okay, so the network access layer combine the combination of a physical layer as well as DLL. So network internet layer is also called a network layer, so the functionality is same. Transport layer is also equal to transport layer, and application is combining two different layer with it also, that is your presentation layer and a session. Okay, so this is your TCP IP. Okay, so with this, your 2 topics got complete. First one is OSI, ISO OSI reference model, and the second one is your TCP IP. So TCP IP is based on OSI model, so there is nothing different there. You just have to remember that which particular layer contains the functionality of which particular layer of OSI. Okay, so I think with this your both the topics got complete, and in the next coming lecture I'll try to discuss the various devices and your transmission medium that is used to transmit your data, like physical wires and routers and in between whatever is there. Okay, okay, so thank you for listening, and you can move on to the next lecture. If you have any doubt, just let me know.